Triton reached perihelion, and something unprecedented happened. During its closest approach to the Sun, observatories found a new anomaly. It did not correspond to any known comets. The object had challenged our understanding since it entered our solar system. It now demonstrated its most dramatic transformation. What we see might make us rethink everything about interstellar visitors. Perihelion is the point in an orbit closest to the Sun. For comets, this is usually a time of peak activity. Solar radiation heats the surface, volatiles evaporate, forming gas. The coma expands, and tails sometimes appear. This is predictable. We have observed thousands of comets at perihelion. We know what to expect. 3I Atlas should have followed this pattern, but it did not. On October 29 at 1400 UTC, 3I Atlas reached perihelion. It was 0.7 astronomical units from the Sun. That is closer than Earth. It was close enough for solar radiation to increase sharply. All available telescopes were pointed at it. NASA's Solar Orbiter, the European Space Agency, and ground observatories were watching. They were on 3 continents. All wanted to see what would happen when the anomalous object was maximally heated. Something unprecedented occurred. Instead of increased gas production and coma expansion, 3I Atlas quieted. It quieted completely. Activity that had been increasing for weeks stopped suddenly. The expanding coma shrank. Brightness that had been increasing decreased by 40% in under 6 hours. This is the opposite of what should happen at perihelion. When a comet approaches the Sun, solar energy increases inversely with the distance squared. Twice as close means 4 times more energy. At perihelion, 3I Atlas received maximum solar radiation. The surface temperature should have increased sharply. Subsurface ices should have rapidly evaporated. We should have seen maximum activity, brightness, and coma size. Instead, the object seemed to shut down. It seemed to detect the increased solar radiation and react by decreasing activity. Rocks and ice do not behave this. Natural objects do not react to heating this way. They do not regulate activity based on external conditions. They do not have feedback mechanisms. They do not make decisions, but 3I Atlas seemed to do just that. Spectroscopic data make this even more mysterious. During the approach to perihelion, emission lines matched water vapor. Carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and organic compounds were also present. This was standard gas production. But at perihelion, these emission lines changed. New molecular signatures appeared. There were complex hydrocarbons not seen before, and a nitrogen compound. Strangest of all, emission lines did not match known molecular compounds in our databases. Dr. Robert Warwick from the University of Hawaii analyzed the spectra for 12 hours straight. He compared them to all known molecular signatures. Every asteroid, comet, and meteorite sample was analyzed. Nothing matched. The wavelengths do not correspond to any known stable molecule. Either we are seeing chemistry not found in our laboratories, or we are seeing something not chemistry at all. The thermal signature is also strange. Infrared observations show an incorrect temperature distribution. Heating a rocky object creates hotspots depending on geometry and composition. Different materials heat up at different rates. You get temperature variations across the surface. 3I Atlas shows a uniform temperature distribution. The entire visible surface maintains the same temperature within 2 degrees Kelvin. This is impossible for a natural object with varied composition and uneven geometry. A uniform temperature suggests either a single, homogeneous material. This contradicts the spectroscopic analysis, which shows different compositions. Or it has an internal heat distribution. Something inside moves thermal energy to maintain equilibrium. That requires active systems, fluid circulation, or temperature control technology. Here is another perihelion anomaly. The object's albedo changed. Albedo is reflectivity. How much light does the object reflect compared to how much it absorbs? This is determined by surface composition and texture. It does not change quickly because surface properties do not change quickly. But 3I Atlas's albedo changed from 0.4 to 0.9 during perihelion passage. Its reflectivity more than doubled in less than 8 hours. To change Earth's albedo this much, you would need to cover 30% of the surface. For a comet, albedo changes require either fresh subsurface ice exposure. This would make it brighter and increase activity, or it requires new dark material deposition, which would make it darker. 3I Atlas became brighter, but activity decreased. The physics do not work. Unless the surface changed itself, or something within it changed the surface property. Some materials can change reflectivity based on temperature or electric current. Thermochromic substances and electrochromic coatings exist. We use them in smart windows and displays, but these are artificial materials. They are engineered systems, not natural geological processes. The magnetic field measurements are also troubling. NASA's Parker Solar Probe was in the right place to take magnetometer readings. They found a local magnetic field anomaly when 3I Atlas passed perihelion. It was not weak-induced magnetism from ionized cometary gases interacting with the solar wind. It was a distinct, structured magnetic field coming from the object itself. The field strength was 0.3 nanoteslas at 2 million coulombs. This may not seem much, but for a 400-meter object to generate a detectable field at that distance, it would need either ferromagnetic materials in specific configurations or electric currents. A flow of charged particles makes no sense for what should be an inert rock and ice chunk. More troubling, the magnetic field was not constant. It pulsed. There were regular oscillations with a period of 4-7 seconds. Natural magnetic fields do not pulse regularly. Pulsars pulse, but they are rotating neutron stars with extreme physics. Magnetic field oscillations in smaller objects require current changes and electrical activity. This implies active processes. Then, there is the trajectory deviation. We track 3I Atlas with extreme precision since its discovery. We calculate its orbit, accounting for solar gravity, planetary perturbation, radiation pressure, and gas production forces. The object should have followed a predictable trajectory at perihelion. But it did not. It deviated 800 kilometers from its predicted position. 800 kilometers is a huge distance for orbital mechanics with this accuracy. This is not a measurement error. It is a real deviation requiring a real force. The gas production force that shifted it should have been noticeable. We should have seen massive jets of material ejected in the direction opposite the deviation. We saw nothing of the sort. The object moved without visible thrust. There are only a few ways to explain trajectory changes without energy. Gravitational interaction with an unseen massive object, which we would have detected. Gas production that we somehow missed, which seems impossible given the observation coverage. Or the object maneuvered and intentionally changed its path. It used some form of thrust that produces no visible exhaust. I will say something that may seem extreme, but the data forces me to consider it. What if 3I Atlas is not a comet at all? What if it is a spacecraft undergoing perihelion and reacting to it? Decreased activity could be closing protective ports or panels during maximum solar radiation exposure. Uniform temperature could be internal thermal management. Albedo changes could be deploying or reconfiguring surface elements. The magnetic field could be power generation or communication systems. Trajectory deviation could be course correction. This interpretation makes me uneasy. It requires admitting that we are being visited by another civilization's technology. This is an extraordinary claim, requiring extraordinary evidence. But consider what we have observed. An interstellar object increasing in size and changing its rotation speed, which does not fit natural physics. It demonstrated chemical reactions that we cannot explain. It decreased activity when it should have increased and maintained a uniform surface temperature. It rapidly changed reflectivity. It generated a pulsating magnetic field and deviated from its predicted trajectory without visible thrust. Any of these anomalies could potentially have a natural explanation that we have not thought of. The probability of natural processes causing this entire set of anomalies approaches zero. We are left with uncomfortable options. NASA's official position is that 3I Atlas is a comet with unusual but not impossible properties. They acknowledge the anomalies but say there is not enough evidence to conclude artificial origin. This is a conservative scientific position, and I respect it. But privately, people are less certain. I have spoken to researchers from different agencies who are deeply concerned about what we are seeing. Geopolitical implications are discussed at classified levels. If 3I Atlas is artificial, if it is a probe or ship from another civilization, then its perihelion behavior could be deliberate observation of our sun. Scientific reconnaissance, data collection on star characteristics, or using the sun for something. Gravitational assist, energy collection, or enhancing communications via the sun's gravity well could be options. Some researchers suggest it may be damaged. That it is a probe that failed millions of years ago and now executes a faulty program. The erratic behavior could be malfunctioning systems, trying to operate in conditions they are not designed for. This explains the inconsistencies. A fully functional advanced probe would likely be more discreet. What we see may be malfunction rather than intention. Others suggest it may be autonomous and uncontrolled by any civilization. That is because they have long since died out. A robotic explorer launched millennia ago continues its mission without operators. Archaeological evidence of a species that rose, created interstellar capabilities, sent out explorers, and vanished. 3I Atlas may be all that is left of them. A lone machine continuing to execute programmed tasks in a galaxy where its creators are gone. There is also the possibility of intentional contact. If 3I Atlas is artificial and functional, its trajectory through our solar system and anomalous behavior may be a message. Look at us. It may say, pay attention to us. Understand that we are unnatural. We are here. We are observing. But if so, why not contact directly? Why not transmit clear signals? Why remain ambiguous? Perhaps any civilization capable of interstellar travel has learned caution. Maybe they have encountered dangerous species before. Maybe first contact protocol involves long observation before revealing full capabilities. 3I Atlas could be the equivalent of a scout drone. It could be gathering data on our technological level, our social structures, and our potential threat level before more open contact. 3I Atlas appeared in our view just when we are developing technological capabilities to detect and study such objects. 100 years ago, we would not have detected it. In 100 years, we may have technologies that make us more conspicuous. There may be a narrow window when we are advanced enough to notice something unusual. We would not be advanced enough to fully understand it. If you wanted to test a civilization's observational and analytical capabilities, this would be the ideal level of ambiguity. Let me present an alternative interpretation. Everything I described has natural explanations that we have not yet discovered. Physics is complex. We are still learning how volatile ices behave in various conditions. We do not fully understand the interaction of dust and ice in low-density aggregates. We have not sampled material beyond our solar system to know its exact properties. 3I Atlas may be showing us new natural phenomena, not artificial ones. Decreased activity at perihelion may be a thermal lag effect. Perhaps subsurface material has such low thermal conductivity that the surface heats up. The deeper ices do not react for hours or days. The initial heating may cause a sealing process. Maybe dust particles stick together, forming a temporary crust. This temporarily reduces gas production before cracking. Uniform temperature may result from rapid rotation evenly distributing heat. But we measure the rotation period, and it is not fast enough. But maybe there is internal convection we are not accounting for. Gases circulating within the porous structure may distribute the heat. It is strained but physically possible that albedo changes could be frost formation. Water vapor condenses on the surface at perihelion. Although it seems counterintuitive, maybe there are pressure and temperature conditions near the object. We may be incorrectly modeling that. Or maybe the surface chemical composition changes due to intense ultraviolet radiation. Carbon compounds may oxidize or reduce, altering reflectivity. The magnetic field is naturally harder to explain, but not impossible. Maybe 3I Atlas contains metallic fragments from a destroyed protoplanet's core. Perhaps these fragments heat and cool in ways that create thermoelectric currents. Perhaps there is some exotic geological process we have never observed. We did not have an interstellar object to study before. Trajectory deviation is troubling, but could be subtle gas production that we miss. There may be jets of material ejected in directions we poorly observe. Asymmetric heating may create tiny thrust components that accumulate over time. Maybe our solar radiation pressure models need refinement for objects with changing albedo and activity levels. I am presenting both interpretations, as intellectual honesty requires it. I cannot definitively prove that 3I Atlas is artificial. I cannot definitively prove that it is natural. The data is ambiguous. This ambiguity is itself remarkable, as we can usually explain an observation one way or another. Here, we are genuinely unsure. What happens next is crucial. 3I Atlas is now past perihelion. It is receding from the Sun into the outer solar system. Solar heating will decrease. If it is a comet, activity should gradually decline as temperature decreases. If it is something else, who knows what we may observe? Will the growth we saw before perihelion resume? Will it continue deviating from predicted trajectories? Will new anomalies appear? We need a mission. We need a spacecraft to meet 3I Atlas. Take close-up pictures, sample its composition, and measure its properties directly. We need to do that instead of inferring from remote observations. We could launch a rapid mission within months. A landing mission would take longer, but yield far more data. The problem is political and financial. Space missions require funding. Funding requires justification. How do you justify hundreds of millions of dollars studying what may just be an unusual comet? Even if you suspect it is artificial, an official announcement will invite ridicule and controversy. Thus, we are in a situation where the most important potential discovery in human history may go unexplored. That is because we cannot figure out how to request the resources. China is considering launching a mission. Their space program seeks high-profile goals that demonstrate their capabilities. Intercepting an interstellar object would be such an achievement. If they launch a mission and make first contact, or confirm artificial origin, it would change the entire geopolitical dynamic. The country that proves we are not alone would instantly become the most important nation on Earth. Russia has rockets, but no funding. Europe is interested, but moving slowly through committees. Japan has expressed interest. India is evaluating options. Meanwhile, 3i Atlas continues its outward journey. Every day we delay a mission, it recedes further and becomes harder to reach. The scientific community is divided. Some researchers are convinced we are observing natural phenomena and that a mission would be wasteful. Others believe that the anomalies justify investigation, regardless of origin. A third group privately suspects artificial origin, but does not say so publicly due to career concerns. Arguments are brewing. Conferences are contentious. Articles are written supporting different interpretations. What frustrates me most is the certainty on both sides. People absolutely sure it is natural cannot adequately explain all the anomalies. People absolutely sure it is artificial cannot definitively rule out a natural explanation. Both sides allow their biases and preconceived notions to override careful analysis of what we are observing. Here is what I know for certain. 3i Atlas behaved unexpectedly at perihelion. Multiple independent observations confirmed anomalies that do not fit standard models. Whether this means it is artificial or our understanding of comet physics is incomplete, I cannot say with certainty. But I can say that we need to find out. We need more data. We need closer observation. We need direct investigation. Because if 3i Atlas is natural and we do not study it, we are missing a unique opportunity to expand our understanding of how materials from other star systems behave. If 3i Atlas is artificial and we do not study it, we are missing first contact with the only intelligence we may encounter in our lifetime. Both possibilities are too important to ignore. Both justify resource allocation and attention. Perihelion passage gave us new data and new questions, but no answers. Those answers exist out there, receding from us at 20 km/h as we argue and delay. That is another 72 kilometers it recedes each day, or 7 million kilometers. Time is not on our side. 3i Atlas showed us something unprecedented, something that challenges our understanding and makes us question assumptions. Whether it is a natural object with unusual properties or technology from another world, it is a gift. It is a chance to learn, a chance to discover, and a chance to move beyond our current limitations. The question is, are we wise enough to seize it before it is gone forever?